What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Krusty Christie. In this video, it's more of a serious video. Well, you read the title, so. She died and saw hell. What she saw is terrifying. Now, I'm sure you've seen videos of people who have died and have gone to heaven, but there's also thousands of people and hundreds of videos where people have died and gone to hell, and they come back and they tell their stories. I've seen a ton. But this is just one. Let's get into it. She died and saw hell. What she saw is terrifying.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back on the tripod. Today we have a little bit of a different video for you. I have a testimony of somebody that died and went to hell. This is like a near-death experience testimony. I've read so many of these, and it's just intriguing what happens after the human body dies. And people say they experience either hell, if you're an unbeliever, or they experience heaven. This is a scary one. This is a terrifying one. And I read this and thought I would love to share this with you guys. It's a wake-up call for all of us. And then I'll share a couple verses about hell with you after. But buckle up, because this is intense. I'm just going to read it to you. This is my near-death experience, a warning for all. She says, I prefer to remain anonymous because what I've suffered at the hands of those who do not believe me. And again, nobody's making money off this testimony, so for her to write this, there's no reason to make this up. This story is my testimony, and I share it with the hope that it'll bring a warning to others. It happened about 2 years ago, but I remember it like it was just yesterday. I was getting in my friend Gareth's car. It was his dad's car, and he wasn't even supposed to have it. I'm not sure how he got a hold of it, but I remember he'd been drinking earlier that night. Despite knowing that he wasn't supposed to be driving, I needed a lift home, and it was late. We were arguing about something stupid the whole trip, and in a moment of rage, Gareth slammed on the accelerator and attempted a U-turn. Now that I think about it, it was a way of scaring people into silence. He had a temper like that. Listen to this.
Can you believe that this guy in this picture is me? I didn't realise how bad my
hair was. About your hair implant.
The next thing I knew, I was being wheeled into a big room on a stretcher. My chest and head felt like it had been punched with something hard. I remember this vividly. Seconds later, I started to float out of my body and move through a tunnel of light. And this is a lot of people have this exact same experience, feeling like they're going through either a tunnel of light up or going through a dark shaft down. Like some strange drug trip. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I couldn't control it. I thought for a brief moment that I was headed towards heaven, but suddenly everything changed. Ugh, chills. I stopped abruptly in the tunnel, and about half a bolt of light, and like a bolt of lightning, I began to fall faster and faster, plummeting down a black, dark abyss. It was so dark, I felt like I could slice it with a knife. As I continued falling, I started hearing agonizing screaming, crying, and hideous laughter. The smell was unbearable, like rotting flesh and burning hair. And if you've heard Bill Weese's story of his vision that he went to hell for 23 minutes, it's very, very similar to this. I've read hundreds of these stories, and they're all very, very similar. The blackness transformed into fire, and I was falling into what seemed like a massive furnace. The flames began to consume me, and I screamed harder than I ever had. I crashed into what felt like rocks, and pain overwhelmed me. It's mind-blowing to think, guys, that there's millions and millions, billions of people, not millions, that are experiencing this agony right now as I speak in my nice, comfortable house. 24/7 they're experiencing this because they chose to reject Christ and live a life without Him. She says, opening my eyes, I realized that I was not alone. Distorted, grotesque creatures began grabbing at me one by one. They dragged me towards massive black gates. I started kicking and screaming, calling out for any deity I could think of. I called out to Allah, Buddha, or God, but no one came to help me. One enormous creature ripped my back with its sharp nails, while another yanked my hair so hard I felt like vomiting. And if you've read Bill Weese's 23 Minutes in Hell, this is his exact description of being tormented by massive demons. A third creature stomped on my chest, mocking me, knowing deeply personal details about my life, about my mother's death, my sister's imprisonment, and how Gareth had been the one driving the car that killed me. So these demons literally knew about her life while they're tormenting her in hell. The air was so thick with the smell of decay, I can barely hear their jeers over the roar of surrounding flames. Suddenly I saw other people running and screaming, children no older than 12, being torn apart by these malevolent beings. Then I saw Gareth hanging upside down with nails in his hands and feet. Ugh. Much like Jesus on the cross. The creatures whipped him while chanting in a language I didn't understand. His flesh had begun melting and his face was twisted in terror as he pleaded for mercy. This is just unbelievable. There's no...
Probably Latin. It's like when you hear about exorcisms, you know, priests doing exorcisms on people that are possessed. They start speaking in tongues. They start speaking in a different language, which I believe people say it's Latin or something like that. But her friend, she saw her friend Gareth.
Claims. Suddenly I saw other people running and screaming, children no older than 12, being torn apart by these...
It's not just one age. And it's, you don't go to hell, you know, people think, oh, you only go to hell if you kill someone, you rape someone, you're a pedophile, you're a bank robber, you steal. Well, I mean, but no, that's not, no. I'll get into it. I want to hear
malevolent beings. Then I saw Gareth hanging upside down with nails in his hands and feet. Ugh. Much like Jesus on the cross. The creatures whipped him while chanting in a language I didn't understand. His flesh had begun melting and his face was twisted in terror as he pleaded for mercy. This is just unbelievable. There's no human words that can describe the torment of hell which the Bible describes. The fire on the ground began to burn my body or whatever form I was in. I cried out again, God, please help me. The more I called on God's name, the more the creatures tried to hurt me. They grew angry and angrier and more aggressive, but I kept crying out for God. Finally, just as I was about to give up, I felt a powerful force pulling me away from them, and I was yanked back through the tunnel. I awoke to the voice of a doctor telling me I had been resuscitated after 2 hours. Gareth, however, didn't make it. His heart had given out half an hour before mine. After months of therapy and trying...
We know where Gareth is. Yeah.
To describe what I experienced, I met a Pentecostal Christian friend who explained to me what I had encountered. For 2 weeks, she shared Bible verses, listen to this, that described hell and everything I'd seen. One day on my college campus, I gave my life to Jesus. To this day, I still can remember the horrible smell of burning flesh and hair. It makes me feverish to think about Gareth and where he might be now. And this is so, guys, sickening, the fact that Gareth, who passed away, and she saw him in hell being tortured on a cross and being burned alive, is likely there right now as I'm sharing this. Like, that's just, I can't wrap my head around the fact that we have friends and family and loved ones that were good people on earth, but are burning in hell right now because they rejected Jesus as their Savior. I now live with loved ones that were good people on earth, but are burning in hell right now because they...
Were they really good people, though? If they're burning in hell? I mean, there's a story, you know, I've seen a bunch of videos like this. There was a woman who was like in her 50s who died and went to hell, and, you know, came back. She was a churchgoer. She went to church twice a week, read the Bible every day, preached the Word of God to other people, and she died and went to hell. And she said that she went to hell because she didn't forgive. She didn't forgive meaning she didn't forgive people that hurt her, that had wronged her, like her enemies. I'm sure that was just one of the reasons. But yeah, if you die with, in the Bible it says, forgive thy enemies. When you have a murderer who kills your daughter or son or a family member, and you're in court giving family statements, after the murderer is found guilty, and the family can give victim statements, let the murderer, the killer, have it, I hate you, I'll never. There are so many people, especially parents, who say, we forgive you for killing our daughter or killing our son, because God says, forgive thy enemies. It takes, just imagine if you were a parent and you were giving your family statement in court, being able to address the killer of your son or daughter, niece, nephew, grandchild. You would probably let them have it. Just go, I will hate you forever, you son of a. Just remember, it's gonna cost you. It could send you to hell. No joke. You have to forgive everyone who has ever hurt you. You don't have to worry about the people that have hurt you. They will be punished. They will be punished. But you have to forgive for your sake and your soul to go to heaven. I have a lot of people that hurt me. A lot. But I pray to God, especially recently, like a few days ago, I prayed to God saying, God, I forgive all my enemies. I forgive them all, even though they hurt me. I forgive all my enemies, and I meant it. If you want to go to heaven, you don't want to go to hell, forgive thy enemies.
They rejected Jesus as their Savior. I now live with a burden knowing where I believe He is and where I don't want His younger brother to end up. When I share my testimony with friends and family, many dismiss it, saying I've watched too many horror movies, but this was not a movie. There were no credits. There was no logos on the end. This was real. Oh, it gives me chills. To everyone who reads this, I pray you'll heed this warning. If you haven't accepted Jesus Christ into your life, do not wait until it's too late. In my near-death experience, I saw what awaits those who reject Him. It's more horrifying than any film or show can portray, and I thank God every day for giving me a second chance, and now I live to serve Him. Do not wait. This is what she says, call on Jesus now. I'm only 22 years old, and I thought I had all the time in the world, but I was almost wrong. God bless all who read this. Guys, this is one of the most chilling testimonies of hell I've ever heard, and this girl is pleading with people to heed this warning. It is very unfathomable for many of us listening to this video right now that hell is real and that hell is eternal. That is, there is no exits, there is no escaping. Now, she was resuscitated. She was brought back to her body by medical intervention. But there are many people that don't get that don't get a second chance. And by second chance, I mean don't get revived after they die. But this girl was lucky enough to get revived and to come back to tell the story. And now, thank God, she's a Christian.
I want to bring up the fact, and this is big. She was only 22 years old. She died and went to hell. I'm pretty sure she never killed anyone, raped anyone, was a pedophile, a bank robber. So why did she go to hell? She didn't believe in God. What other reasons could there be? If you're someone who thinks only people that murder and are rapists and pedophiles and rob banks and steal cars and do horrible things are the only people that go to hell, you are, pardon the pun, but dead wrong. You're dead wrong. Here are some things, a few things that will send you to hell. Not to mention the 10 Commandments. I mean, but when you die, you will go to hell if you still didn't believe there was a God. You're going to go to hell. It doesn't even have to be in your deathbed, just when you die. It could be in a car accident. You're going to hell. God gets angry when people don't believe in Him, that He's real. So if you don't believe in God, you're going to hell. If you were an atheist when you died, I don't know if you know any people that were an atheist when they died. They're in hell. Family, friends, they're in hell, suffering. And I gotta say, he sells, gives me chills. I've heard worse stories that go into further details, where the video is like 45 minutes long, and I mean, this video, is minor. I mean, the Gareth thing, where as horrible as that sounds, and it's bad, that's just hell. Yeah, if you were an atheist. So if you're an atheist and you die, you're going to hell. I swear on my life. Please believe me when I tell you, there is a heaven and there is a hell. People that tell you this, they got nothing to gain. And for all you people that say, oh, what about the Catholic priests that molested all those kids? Where do you think they're going? I've read testimonies from people who said when they were in hell, they seen priests. With the white collar, they seen priests in hell. So don't worry about them. They will go to hell, and they have gone to hell. Like I said, if you die and you didn't forgive your enemies, you're going to hell. You have to forgive thy enemies. As much as it hurts, you have to forgive them. You don't have to talk to them and say, I forgive you. I mean, it may make things even better in the eyes of God, but just pray to God and say, God, I forgive all my enemies. And those enemies of yours that have hurt you, have scarred you, especially if they raped you, they're going to hell. Don't worry. They are going to suffer so bad. If you were a cheater, when you die, if you were a cheater, if you cheated, you're going to hell. So don't cheat. I mean, it's just funny here on earth how when people cheat, it's just like, oh, like your friends, you made a mistake, we're human, we make mistakes. No, cheating is not a mistake. It's not even an accident. You knew what you were doing, even if you were drunk. If you worship Satan, oh, there's a lot of people that there's Satan worshipers who think that they're gonna go to hell and like Satan's gonna praise them and they're gonna be one of Satan's right hand men or women. No, you're going to hell. That's right, but you're gonna suffer. You might suffer worse. Just imagine all of the things that has Satan in hell that you do or other people do that make him go, yes, I love it. Yes. Oh, people dressing up as me. Oh, I love it. It's people getting tattoos of me. Oh, yes, I love it. Just think of all the stuff. Just crazy. There's so many people that hate on God and are like, I don't want to say like praise Satan, but they're like, Satan, yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Like at concerts, dress up as him. 22 minutes. I mean, as far as God, it's like he's hated by a lot of people. For what? For what? And the last one here, if you mock God, if you mock him, you're going to hell. Oh, hey God, the big guy, the imaginary big guy in the sky that created Earth, I bet you're real. Nah. Yeah, dude, yeah. Go ahead, keep on mocking him. You're going to hell. It's real. I've read the Bible. I've done research. It's not just big things. I mean, not believing in God is big. Mocking God is big. Worshipping Satan. Oh, don't get me. The people in Scientology who don't believe there's a God and we come from aliens. Tom Cruise, he's going to hell. I think John Travolta is in Scientology. John Travolta as well, with Tom Cruise. When they die, they're going to hell. God is real, heaven is real, hell is real. And people who went to heaven, just let me tell you this, they said it felt like I mean, all their pain, physically, mentally, everything was gone. It was just like so beautiful and peaceful. And a guy who went to hell, mentally he said, take your worst day of your entire life. Think about your worst day on planet Earth as a human while you were living. Take your worst day and times that by 1,000. That's how horrible it is mentally in hell. And I remember that guy. He was like, I was an atheist. I used to mock God. He was like a professor, and he said he cheated on his wife multiple times, and just, it was just like whatever. And there is no God. And then he died, and he went to hell and was getting beat up by like 7 to 8 feet tall demons with horns and making grunting noises and had noses like pigs. Does this sound familiar to any of you who are fans of like any like ghost adventures? Does that sound familiar? Like when they do their recordings and they listen to see, and it sounds like a pig, like grunting. It's because it's a demon in that house. Anyways, that guy I was just talking about, he came back, and he's now a pastor. He's now a pastor for a church. Yeah. So one of the 10 deadliest sins is greed. People who choose like money and power over helping people, that's greed, and that can send you to hell too. You may be laughing at this like, oh God, whatever. It's not my soul. It's your soul. I'm just trying to help. Just like this guy who has almost 1 million followers or subscribers on YouTube is just trying to help. But it's fascinating in a way that some people are brought back and given a second chance. Oh, but there's other things, if you do like anything like porn, stripping. I read a story where a girl who was a stripper, she died like a drug overdose and went to hell, and she came back. I mean, making money with your body, porn, OnlyFans, whatever. you're going to hell. And I'm not making this stuff up. I'm just being honest. I'm just being real. Anyways, this was a serious video. One of the serious, maybe the most serious videos I've ever done. Because there's nothing bigger than death. There's nothing bigger than God. And being honest and telling the truth about there being a heaven and a hell. Where you want to go. As I'm talking, as you're watching, there's people screaming and suffering in hell. You probably know which family members of yours are in hell for doing bad things. Anyways, like always and forever, here at the Krusty Christie. Take care, be safe, peace. Talk to God. Just love you guys. Peace.